Welcome to the Minimoo story. My name is Mira. If you haven't watched my previous episodes, I recommend that you do that because it will give you a better understanding of who I am and why I was doing whatever I'm about to tell you. Today's episode is about what I did in my summer holiday while I was consulting the psychiatrist and following the program I was granted, in which I did tremendous work with myself. When the doctor, she told me I would be blind within 5 to 30 years, I was devastated. It is quite difficult to cope such a message because they doesn't give you a final diagnosis, or they didn't give me that one yet, and you have so many thoughts in your head. Will I wake up in 5 years being completely blind? Would I be able to have a relatively normal life for the next 30 years? Or what could I actually expect? Worst case scenario here. It was being blind within 5 years. So being rational, I thought, what do I want to achieve within 5 years? Everything besides 5 years, I'm granted, then I will be lucky. Because I'm a little bit crazy and sometimes I do wild things people they normally wouldn't do, I decided to climb Kilimanjaro. Yes, congratulations, you might be blind within 5 years, let's climb a mountain. It might seem completely crazy and out of context deciding to climb Kilimanjaro, but to me it made perfect sense because I have this bucket list with different things that I would like to see and do before I get old and die. And some of them demands a vision. So to me it was important to go and do things that I might not be able to do in 5 years or 30, but I had to act out of worst case scenario. First I thought about going to Kilimanjaro myself, but then I realized a friend of mine, Anders, he was 39 years old and would turn 40. Within him turning 40, he wanted to go to Kilimanjaro as well. So we teamed up. Physically, I was probably in a better shape than most people they are when I booked Kilimanjaro. However, I prepared myself by packing a backpack with heavy books and put on new hiking boots, and then I simply went for walks, like 4 hours walks with this heavy backpack. And I was listening to audiobooks I was trying to relax my mind, preparing myself for climbing Kilimanjaro, but also the fact that I had all these thoughts in my head. Will I be blind within 5 years? I was following the program with the people I couldn't even identify myself with. So I heard different kind of audiobooks just to take my mind off whatever was going on. It might seem irrational and crazy to go on an adventure when you're mentally unstable. I was quite depressed. I haven't hit rock bottom yet, but I was really depressed. And all these things in my head with when will I be blind, and leaving my husband and son for 10 days to climb this mountain, it seemed, I don't know, it was rational to me. Because the way that I work and one of the reasons why I am always able to put myself out there and go forward, It's because if I'm uncomfortable and uncertain about what is going to happen, I do either two things. I withdraw myself and then I will analyze the situation and think, oh hell no, I don't want to do that. Otherwise, I will stand in the not comfortable situation and I will push myself even further out. Because then I can realize, okay, this is way too far, and I will step back, analyze the situation again, and I will realize what was out of my comfort zone before will suddenly be my new comfort zone. And like that, I have actually mentally, maybe even physically, I have moved myself forward. Leaving my husband and my son for 10 days going to Tanzania while being mentally unstable. It also seems a little bit crazy. But to me, I had to do it, first of all. Second of all, I don't think that the fact that you miss someone, mostly my son, also my husband, mostly my son, you don't miss them more or less if you go 2 days or 10 days. At least that's how I work. And further, my husband and I, we have an understanding between each other that if I need to go 10 days to Kilimanjaro to climb this mountain and it will make me happy, he will let me do that. And if he needs to go 6 days to Las Vegas to blow out steam with the guys, I will let him do that, of course, because it will make him happy. And we can continue our brilliant family life afterwards. The trip to Tanzania, it went quite well. I think we had a 22-hour flight before we landed in Kilimanjaro airport and had transferred to Moshi town and the lodge where we were supposed to stay for one night before starting the adventure at Kilimanjaro. We met our guides and we had this introduction to what we have to pack and so on and so forth. Anders and I, we had chosen a longer route to finally end up at Uhuru Peak, which is the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest point in Africa, 5,895 meters. And it was called Le Mushoshira, and we decided to take this long route because we took the altitude serious. When you live in Denmark, I think the highest point in Denmark is like 200 meters. And it is a little bit difficult to prepare yourself on the altitude of nearly 6,000 meters. So we decided to take it slow instead and then do it thoroughly. Coming out of the gates into this bus, driving us to where the hike was supposed to start, it was also quite an eye-opener. We saw a little the day we landed of Tanzania, but they are really, really poor. It's like you see it on TV. It was my first time in real Africa, and it made it clear to us how poor they actually are. We started our hike, I can't remember, I think it was 1,100 meters. The bus dropped us off, and we were ready to go, but already there, our guide, he told us, pole pole. Pole pole, it means take it easy, go slowly. And both Anders and I, we are like Tasmanian devils. It's like, but it made good sense. If the guy tells you go slowly, there's probably a good meaning with it. So we did. Our first camp, it was quite okay. There were a lot of people there, but we had nice arrangement with our little tent, our guides. We had 2 guides and the porters in the mess tent, and yeah, it was okay. My first night in a sleeping bag since I was a child, I think. So for maybe 30 years, but it was okay. So we continued our hike the day after, and people, they were starting to go another way, a more direct way towards Uhuru Peak, and it became more calmful and not that many people, the route we had chosen. So it was quite nice. Also, we saw the landscape change a little bit as we were climbing Pulle Pulle, but upwards. It was beautiful nature, really beautiful. But you can still see that this is a tourist attraction. So it might seem okay, but when you have to go, you will step off the path, and then you will see in the bushes behind the big stones so on that there has been a lot of people before you, and it's not that nice, but it's a part of the experience. Again, it will put everything in context for you, because if you're normally used to go on a nice bathroom with heated floor and toilet paper and you just flush and everything goes, this is an eye-opener again. Going there uphill for 6 straight days, it's like meditation. You can't do anything else than put one foot in front of the other, Pulle Pulle, and you can try to clear your mind. I had all these thoughts in my head about my vision, about what is going to happen next in the future, and when will I be blind? Not if, but when. Being depressed, being sad, what would people say? All these things, all these thoughts that you have in your head when you're told that you will be blind, maybe within 5 years. But you cannot do anything. Then enjoy the nature, relax, and you're offline, so all the influences from your surroundings, they're like taking away, except for Anders. But he was dealing with his 40-year-old crisis, so I mean, what is worse, turning 40 or losing your vision? Oh well, I turned 40 a couple of years ago. It wasn't that bad. The hike itself started out quite well to me with my eyes. As long as I am going upwards, it's not that difficult. It went okay. At one point I had to find my walking sticks, and I realized that I could use them as a stick. They had taught me in this program I was following back in Denmark. So instead of supporting myself like people they would normally do, I was actually using it to read the depth and so on when I was walking. Because I was physical, I was already able to climb uphill, except for my eyes. And I was in some situation where I thought, oh holy mo, what did I do here? Why am I doing this to myself? But I was going upwards, and it wasn't that scary. Even we had to climb this wall up. It was actually the best part of the whole hike, where you're climbing the wall. Really good, really good. I remember while we were on our way to base camp that Anders, he got a lot of headache because he wasn't wearing a beanie or anything to protect his ears, so he started getting a lot of headache. It's also a sign of you getting up in the altitude. But so he was starting thinking, will I ever get up? Will I ever get up? And I was like, don't you worry about that. I will get you on the top of Kilimanjaro. but you have to help me get down again, because I have absolutely no clue about how can I get down from this mountain.